just the frames. Got keys to kingdom, unlocking chains. Sober the podcast, open up your brains. Sober the podcast, let's get it, man.
Welcome back to Season 4 of Sober the Podcast with your host, Bradley Saxon, Mr. CJ Carlton,
Yo.
Steven Sanders.
Hey.
And I know the last episode was a little bit of cliffhanger, so I know you're anticipating the fact today we're going to continue to talk about set 1, but we're going to talk about what the book calls the crux of the problem. But before we get into that, we're going to do our three-pointer.
Let's do it.
And we've handpicked somebody off our Patreon subscriber app, so we're going to call, and hopefully he's been listening, because if he hadn't been listening, he's probably going to get this this wrong.
Yeah.
So hopefully you'll have an opportunity to, work on your three-pointer.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This is Mr. Blake Sowell. I don't even know what question.
Yeah, I was just
Y'all need to be thinking.
Yeah. That's a good question. What did Dr. Bob do for a living? What kind of
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
Mr. Sowell, what's up, man? Bradley Sachs from Sober the Podcast.
Yes, sir.
Got you live on the air. Got CJ and Steven in the house.
Blake, what's up, baby?
Hey.
What's up, brother?
Man, first of all, thank you for subscribing to the Patreon and supporting us. Hope you've been loving the content, man. We're going to ask you a question, and if you get the question right, CJ's got 3 shots at this three-pointer, and if he makes one, we're going to give you whatever merchandise you want, okay?
You said CJ?
CJ, yes, he'll be doing the shot. At this juncture, he's
okay.
two for he's
Hey, watch
2
your
for
mouth,
3.
Blake.
He's 2 for 3, okay? So your chances are, as we continue this, the chances get better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Who is AA number 1? Who was the first person pretty much in AA? Did you drop the call?
Are you Googling
No,
it?
no, no.
Are you
So I got-
Googling it?
No. I got 1 or 2 options, so I'm going to go with the answer you're looking for is Abby Thatcher.
Let me rephrase. So it did not started with Abby, but Abby was the one who talked to the guy that eventually would be AA number 1. Do you know who he is?
Bill.
Bill
W.
W. Okay,
There you go.
we're going to give it
Let's
to him. Let's go. All right, Blake.
Yes, sir.
All right, Blake. So CJ's about to take 3 shots, and we're about to find out if you're going to be a winner. Now, hold on. That don't count.
then.
Nope. So because you can't see, if you hear this sound, that means good try, but you're going home with nothing, okay? But if you hear this sound, CJ found a way to make one, okay?
All right. Sounds good.
Blake,
All right.
you believe in me, man?
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
He's trying, dude.
I'm all jacked up.
He missed the first one, Blake.
You gotta hit the noise.
He missed the second one, Blake. He's got one more
need a
try.
substitute.
One more try.
Oh.
And he missed the third one. But here's what we'll do. I'll give you a random question. If you can answer it, I'll give him 3 more tries.
Okay, go ahead.
Who won the 1995 World Series?
Come on, Blake.
Braves?
Yeah! Let's go! Come on, bro. All right, see? He missed the fourth one. Your chances are not looking good. That's the fourth one. That's the fifth one.
Here we go, Blake. This
it.
one's for you.
Come on.
Dang, Blake. I can't give you no more answers.
I'm
CJ's
sorry, dude.
0 for 6 today. But again, man, we
Forgive
love
me.
you. We really appreciate your support. And
Yes, sir.
we will be talking with you soon. See you, B.
Yeah, man. Love y'all too.
Love you.
Peace.
Dang, see?
That's all right.
You going to help some people work their 4-step
That's right.
this year.
Yeah.
But that ain't bad. That's not an easy shot. Before y'all get to
Yeah.
judging, come on in here and
Yeah.
try to make
Yeah.
that shot.
Yeah.
He's sitting down,
Yeah.
got equipment everywhere.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you can ask some of the guests previously.
Yeah.
It's not an easy shot.
No.
Yeah. That's
But
what
I
Nick
would say 2 out of 12 ain't bad.
Hey, did you make your shot?
I did.
Yeah.
On the third try.
You special though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's pray. And then let's just hop into
do it.
what God has. I love
Yeah.
this because we just rolling
Just hanging
with the
out,
spirit
baby.
of the Lord.
Yeah. With the Lord.
All right, Lord, we just ask that you help us set aside everything we think we know about ourselves, about you in this program. And Lord, give us a new experience in Jesus'
Yes.
name. And all God's people said,
Amen.
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 Yeah.
Step 1.
Yeah.
Step 1.
Yeah.
If you tuned into the last episode, we talked a lot about a part of the illness that really sometimes drugs and alcohol teach us.
Yeah.
It don't necessarily teach us concerning medical terms that we've been talking about, but it definitely is the thing that most people come in with an understanding of.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if I remember right, when I got to my first AA meeting, I looked at the wall and read I was powerless, and my understanding of that, even before anybody carried the message to me, was yes, I am, because I concern that towards my lack of control with
Yeah.
it, right?
Yep. That's right.
But the problem with that is the fact that we don't have the willpower to stay away from the thing that burns us every time we
Yep.
use it, right?
Right.
And that thus brings us to the part of the illness that drugs and alcohol would never teach you.
Yeah.
Right.
It brings you to the part of the illness that a man armed with the facts about himself and the solution can teach you,
Yeah.
and why it's important to follow our 12th suggestion.
Yeah.
Which is to carry the message,
Yes.
to try to carry this message to other
Yeah, that's
alcoholics, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a proven fact that alcoholics are not only abnormal in their body, they are in their mind too.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So let's talk about what page 25 in the big book calls a mental blank spot.
Yeah.
Or you hear it as an unwhole mind,
Yeah.
or you hear it as a mental twist.
Yeah.
It's this thought pattern. It's this inability at certain times to bring into our mind with sufficient force the pain, the humiliation,
Yeah.
and suffering of a day or week ago.
Yeah.
That is the reason we are without defense against the first drink.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how we take the allergy, couple it with this mental twist,
Yeah.
and how we conclude powerlessness as being the problem of alcoholics and addicts.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let me just say this before we get off in this, because there's a lot of information to talk about. That concluding with talking about the allergy, if that's all I knew about the problem, then the solution to that problem will be don't do it anymore.
Right. Don't drink.
So don't drink anymore. So
It would be academic and pointless.
yes.
Right.
The allergy if we could not, if we had the ability
Right.
to put it in. That's sort of where they get that jargon
Right.
Yeah.
in meetings.
Put the plug in the jug,
Yeah.
baby.
Just don't drink.
That's an answer for the allergy. Don't
That-
eat black cherries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
That's
drink.
right.
Yeah.
And therefore, if that's an answer and you never drink and use again,
You're not alcoholic.
Lord help me with my wordings in this season. Please stop coming to AA.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to come to an open meeting, you're welcome, but don't share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, please don't share. Like, AA, when it's open, is all for everybody. Come in, listen, see what we do. But, like, if you're not a real alcoholic because you have the power to choose not to drink and that is a choice you make and you never do it again, I promise you, man, you don't want to hang out with us.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Like,
right.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be here. It's like it's like having a toothache and going to Dr. Bob for help.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Dr. Bob don't work on teeth.
Right.
He's not a dentist.
What's he work on?
So you don't want me up in a proctologist office with a toothache.
Yeah,
right.
Is it all
Yeah.
right if I talk like
No,
this?
you
bad
don't.
thing.
And how loving is it for you to help me understand that this is not the solution to your problem? We need to get you where you have the best possible means to overcome the
Yes.
problem. And how loving is it for me to be told, like, bro, this guy can't help you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the truth, man. If you can recover on a non-spiritual basis, AA is not for you.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's good,
And
man.
that's not my opinion.
Nope.
Well,
Take that up with Bill. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd love to hear everything you got to say.
Yeah, he's listening.
Yeah.
In heaven, sober. So if the allergy is the only part of the problem that I know, then the conclusion and the solution is always don't do it. This is where I ran into trouble. That I couldn't leave it alone.
Yeah.
No matter how great the necessity or the wish.
Yeah.
No matter wife leaving, kids don't love me.
I'm going to lose my job.
Lose my job. I'm unemployable. Like it don't matter.
Like, if you do this again, you're going to prison for 50
Right.
years. Like, none of that mattered concerning this part of the illness
Right.
that we're going to talk about.
So then that leads me to suggesting that there's something else potentially wrong with me.
Yeah.
And it would be pretty beneficial for me to find out what it is. And so then a good sponsor always leads me into, well, if you can't do it again because the doctor suggested that you can never safely have alcohol ever again, that's the only hope for you. And then you find out that you don't have the ability to not think about it.
Right.
You don't have the power to take out of your mind that thought that you obsess over. Brings us to the second part of the problem, which the wall step simplifies, which makes me powerless. And it's also the crux of the problem. So this is what the problem really hinges on, not the body, because if I can live the rest of my life without putting the chemical in, then I don't have to worry about the allergy. You know what I haven't had to worry about in 7 years? The allergy.
Right.
I ain't drank, I haven't
That's right.
used.
Yeah.
Right? But the real crux of the problem, the real trouble that I never could quite understand was this insanity and this mental blank spot that I had created. I had created because I had burned my mind through years of drinking and using, which is this mental obsession that the book begins to teach me about on page 23.
Yeah. And so a great analogy that I always like to use and I want to use now is concerning them both, but it's like being at a restaurant.
Yes, I love this.
And out with a buddy, and it's a Tuesday night, and we're just going to have a good meal, and I order some steak and shrimp.
Yeah.
And as I'm eating the shrimp, all of a sudden my throat starts to swell shut.
Yeah.
I can't breathe. I start to hyperventilate, and a doctor at a nearby table notices the fact that I can't breathe, takes a steak knife, opens up an emergency airways, and saves my life.
Yeah.
What just happened? I just had a near-death experience to an allergic reaction to shellfish.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Yep.
Guess what? If that's my only problem, Stephen, I am never going to try to use it. I don't care. I'm not going to be like, oh, we just ate it on Tuesday and it was grilled. Like, I think I'll eat it Friday and fry it. And this time it'll be better. You know, that experience, near-death experience, is going to be enough for me to make up my mind that I'm never going to try to use shellfish in any shape, form, or fashion. Right?
Right.
Yep.
Well, to illustrate the difference with the alcoholic than somebody that just has a problem with, you know, an allergy, is that you take the alcoholic, let's just say this guy ate the shrimp, had a near-death experience, called the emergency room. He had to go because he had to sew up the emergency airway.
Yep.
His buddy followed, and he got there, and they got him fixed up, and they let his buddy come in, and his buddy looks at him and says, man, you almost died.
Yep.
Yep.
And then he looked at him and said, man, you know what? I think we could probably do it on the weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's the difference between a
Yeah.
man that just has an allergy of the body and a man that has the allergy coupled with the obsession or the insanity of the first drink, you know? And so this is very relatable to a man under the sound or a woman under the sound of our voice that has that is alcoholic or addict because they have at certain times convinced themselves, even after maybe freaking like, dude, I've had guys overdose off fentanyl, Narcan them 3 times, not go to the hospital that night, say
That's
they'll
me.
never do it again, and shoot another 30 the next day.
That's me.
Overdose that. Now, listen, this is a true story of within the last year. Next day, overdose, had to be Narcan. The next day, for some reason, I just had this intuition, something ain't right. I go to his house at midnight. He's laying on the floor, body cold, almost dead. Had to Narcan him 4 times. That is not a man that has the power to choose.
Right.
Okay? This man is not choosing to stick a needle in his arm so that he can die.
Right.
This man has lost the ability to bring into his mind with sufficient force.
Yeah.
So he is sick not only at the level of the body, this man is sick on the level of the mind.
Yes.
So here's my sponsor used that same story, and it's so relatable. But he went a little further, and he says, suppose you came to the hospital. Now, what do you automatically know that I have an allergy to shrimp? You know that.
Yes.
You don't know that whether I know that or not. Maybe it's the first time. But when I stay for a little while, you give me a ride home, and on the way home, I tell you that the hospital food was really crappy. Like, I'm hungry. Can we stop and get something to eat? And you're like, sure, man. Where you want? And I say Red Lobster, and you start thinking,
are you crazy?
This dude is crazy. Like, this guy's crazy. But then I start telling you that if you understood how my wife treated me at home, man, like, shrimp is the only thing that really, I know, like, sometimes it burns me, but like, if you just understood how my kids were and how everything was, you would understand why I eat shrimp too, you know? But the difference he said is, like, if I go out to if any of us go out to a restaurant and I order a medium rare steak and some French fries, and it comes out 45 minutes later and it's burned well done and it's got broccoli on the plate and the plate burns my hand and they never refill my drink and the bill's twice what the menu said, when we leave there, guess what we're agreeing to? We ain't never coming back there till they take the sign down or it gets new ownership. We don't go back. And guess what we do? We never go back. That's a man who has the power to choose that we're not going to do this
and
again.
they don't.
Right. And so for me, the problem was I needed somebody to explain, because it always sounds like that's why the book says that this is the hardest thing to wrap our minds around. Each one of these stories we'll probably talk about with Fred and Jim and the Jaywalker. Before and after each story, it literally says to the alcoholic, now you may think that this is an extreme case. This may be hard for you to wrap your mind around. Well, the reason why they're saying that is because you're literally having to call yourself crazy. And so I needed, so I remember the man asking me every time, why are you sober today? And I would say things in rehab like, man, what I'd heard. Well, I don't want to drink. I choose not to. And he would say, man, let me ask you a question. Have you ever, like, looked around at your life, like maybe you were in a trap house or just wherever and the situation wasn't good? You started to look at yourself and the people around you and you said, man, I don't like what this has done to my body. I don't like what this has done to my hopes, my future. I don't like the kind of parent I've become. I don't like the kind of son I've become, the husband, the whatever I've become. Man, it's killing me. And if I don't stop doing this, I'm not going to do it anymore. Have you ever done that? I said, yeah. He said, did you tell somebody else, like, or maybe go to rehab? I said, yeah. He said, so let me get this straight. You made a choice that you would never do it again. You even told somebody else about it, right? I said, yeah. He said, and then you did it again? Yeah. So why do you think that you have the power to make a choice like that,
Yeah, you've lost that.
Yeah.
And that's what we're describing. And I love what you said just a few minutes ago about how we usually manipulate those around us to feel sorry for us, right? That gets them to maybe understand why I would do this again.
Yeah.
But here's the thing for me, and here's the thing that I ask my guys when they say, because I ask them concerning the havoc that alcohol and drugs have caused you and your family, give me a plausible reason to why you do it again when you know this is what follows.
Right.
And a lot of times you hear things like, well, if you lived with my wife or, if you had been through what I've been through the last 3 years. But here's the truth about the alcoholic. Okay, I hear that. But did you drink when things were good?
Right.
Because you're telling me you drank when things were bad and what you've been through. But did you drink when you had money? Yeah. Did you drink when you didn't have money?
That's right.
Yeah. Did you drink when circumstances were good? Yeah. So that isn't plausible because your experience shows you drank no matter what.
That's right.
So those are all just excuses.
That's right.
Yeah.
What we need to come down to is the truth about the mental obsession. When I ask the question why I keep doing it, really, the answer to that is you don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And when a man can get to the place of acknowledging that he doesn't know why he starts,
That's it.
then you can really get to a place where you can help him understand this unwhole mind.
Yeah.
That it's not something that happens every day. There's some cats that stay sober a year, 2 years, on a non-spiritual basis that are real alcoholic. But the day comes,
Yeah.
whether it's today, tomorrow, next year, the day for the alcoholic always comes where I believe the lie, this time I won't have an allergy.
Right.
Because that's the greatest illusion.
Yes.
Yeah.
This time I'll be able to control it
that's
once I
right.
start, man.
Yep.
And we know what happens once you start and you set off the allergy of the body.
Yep.
That drink could last 10 years.
Yes.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That run could kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that it's imperative for the understanding or the listener of the first step to understand that step one is incomplete
Yeah.
without these two aspects of powerlessness.
That's right.
Because the allergy ain't the problem, the mental obsession ain't the problem. The two coupled together gives you the problem.
Yes.
That's right.
Which is where we find on page 45 that says lack of power.
Yes.
That's our dilemma.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, because a lot of the ways that we try to teach newcomers about this is we do what we call the problem defines the solution.
Yes.
It's a simple truth. And when you plug in the problem,
Yeah.
it will always lead you to the solution.
Yes.
And so when you plug in the problem as alcohol, well, what is the solution? Just don't drink.
That's
Right.
right.
That's
Well,
right.
here's the problem when you understand alcoholism. Not only can you just not drink, not only can you not control it once you start, which is because of the allergy, but because of the part of the illness you don't know, you can't not drink.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you don't understand powerlessness as being the problem and you're thinking drugs or alcohol is the problem, you spend your days based on your willpower to fight something that is beyond your willpower.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
And people start making more meetings. They start trying to make more church services.
Think through the drink.
Yeah, think through all these different well-meaning slogans that
Sorry.
that it's not the message. It don't have that the way.
it
It doesn't bring about recovery, right?
Yeah.
And so these men are trying these things because it's the easier way than it would be to get a sponsor and work through these steps. And one of them is an inventory. And like you start hearing that, and it's like this guy's been in a meeting 30 years.
Yeah.
He just don't drink and goes to meetings. Like
Yeah.
I would rather do that than work with a sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And so we talk about this, man, because the understanding of step one will help you to realize that some of these things you hear in meetings are not a solution for you.
Yes.
Well, here it is. The book lays it out and closes these doors behind you if you go through it properly like a textbook. Do you identify with this idea that when you drink, sir, you lose control. You can't stop. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, but inevitably you lose control.
And you too, ma'am.
And it does something, and ma'am as well. And you do something, it does something so fantastic to you that you can't seem to get enough. If you identify with that, then there's an answer for it, which is I have an allergy, so I must not do it. But this part two is literally saying that I understand now that I have an allergy, but sir, ma'am, the thing that you understand it with is the broken thing. So I
Yeah.
have a body that tells me I cannot drink and successfully use drugs, and a mind that forgets I have that problem.
Yeah.
Therefore, you are in a squirrel cage
Yeah.
that you can't get out on your own power.
Yeah. And so what we're saying is, it's funny because it's sort of like I don't know if you'd call it a double-edged sword. It's like you must understand step one. You got to have good information, but self-knowledge does not cure you.
I love
it's
that.
not enough to know
Yeah.
I got an allergy and a mental obsession. That's not enough to combat it, right?
right.
I think the biggest thing about understanding it is understanding your powerlessness
Yeah.
in combating it.
Yeah.
It's this idea of I'm going to drink.
That's good,
Right.
man.
Right. And when I do, I don't know when I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
It's that hopelessness that should birth surrender.
Yeah.
That should birth this willingness
Gratitude,
to
too.
listen, gratitude, right? And so step one really isn't the miracle working. Step one is just really an understanding of the problem, a statement of the problem. It doesn't bring about recovery, but it does direct the movement that you take from there.
Yeah.
It does define the path
Yes.
to what will bring about a psychic change,
Yes.
that's necessary to bring about recovery in somebody's
Yeah.
life, right?
Yeah.
And so I've always been one to believe, man, step one.
Yes.
Like, I need a man's light bulb to go off. Like,
Yes.
I need him to know that he knows that he knows. Because that's what that means. When on page 30 says that we need, how does it say it, Stephen, about knowing deep down? that
Must concede to his innermost self.
to his innermost self that he's alcoholic. That's this idea of you know that you know.
Yeah.
It's that thing that's so deep down in you that there is no convincing you different, that you know, man, that you have an allergy of the body and a mental obsession, and that there has to be something to change because this is going to kill you.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Those questions that you asked about, did you drink when you had money? Did you drink when you had your wife? You know, I drank because my wife and I got in a fight. Well, did you drink when you guys were getting along? You know, all those questions. The ironic thing is if you ask, like my sponsor did, ask me those same questions. Why do you think you're sober today? And I start to list off reasons why I think I'm sober or reasons why I think I'm not. The cool thing about people on this side of it that understand what step one is, it's the same answers. I might say, well, I didn't drink today because things went well and I'm working a bunch of steps and but no, I can't, you know what I'm saying? It's ironically, it's the same answer. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really actually don't know how come I haven't drank for, 900 and whatever days it is now. And so therefore now I can start to seek this power, which has saw fit to keep me safe from what I now understand as an unwhole mind, which I cannot trust.
Yeah. So we're really just trying to diagnose the problem in step one. And that will lead us to an understanding of step two that we, in the next few episodes, will begin to explore. But I want to maybe conclude this episode with a few statements or some clarity on step one, in the sense of I was always taught, and I'm not saying what I'm about to say is AA's opinion. I just want to tell you that over time I've evolved on this understanding. But when I was first introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous and treatment, I was always taught that we deal with a 3-part illness with a 2-fold nature,
right?
Which would mean there's a spiritual malady, there's an illness of the mind, illness of the body, right? And then the 2-fold nature is what? This allergy and this mental obsession, right? But I've come to understand that I really think that we deal with a 1-part illness with a 2-fold nature, which means, because when you hear illness of the mind, illness of the body, it almost suggests that there is a treatment for them.
Right. Yeah.
And the truth is those are symptoms of a greater problem that we don't lead with in a 12-step program because we feel that the understanding of the problem leads them to the solution instead of us beating people over the head with the solution. That usually their understanding of the problem will help them deal with whatever prejudice they have towards the solution, right? So we don't really speak of any spiritual terms in step one. We really just talk about 2 symptoms that's been created out of a greater problem that we have no understanding of now, that we need to understand that there has been no cure found under heaven.
Right.
Like in science, in medicine, till this day, they have found no cure for the illness of the body and the illness of the mind.
Right.
So recovery isn't treating the illness of the body. And as we get into the book and we get further in, we'll start to learn about this greater problem. But I think to lead a man to the solution, you really talk about this allergy and this mental obsession to really bring a man to the end of himself for him to conclude, man, like I'm alcoholic and this is a death sentence.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think when you do that, and then we lead them into step 2 and 3, I think you have an opportunity that would afford them to be willing to seek.
Yes.
So that you don't want it more than them. I think you
right.
want, I don't know that alcoholics come in willing to do it, but you want me to tell you what a birth willingness? Carry the message of step 1 to them.
Yep.
Identification.
Because I'm going to tell you, once they finally decide that this is who they are, like what they need in order to go to the next step will be given.
Yes.
Because I do think each step taken probably delivers you to the next.
Every
and
time.
I think when that light bulb goes off, like that man is ready to talk about step 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I'm excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, because there's so much here, but I'm excited about explaining this in a way that the listener can understand the methodology.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really been used to problem solve for years.
Yeah.
You identify the problem, you identify the solution, you write a prescription per se.
Yeah.
You outline a program of action.
Yep.
Why? To seek the solution to solve the problem.
Right.
Like we talking about we talking about being restored to sanity.
Yes.
We're talking about a process to where the outcome isn't that we don't obtain it.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about a process of action that we've rarely seen people fail that's thoroughly followed it. People that's come in with this unwhole mind,
Yeah.
insane. And we're not saying you're insane concerning everything.
Right.
Here's the truth. There are some people that can do many things well. You can let's just say you're a good dad, or you got this going for you, or you're not insane concerning money, like you do well there. But when it comes to alcohol and drugs, you have to determine if you're insane, because, sir, while those things are good now, eventually if you overlook your weakness to sharpen your strengths, eventually that one thing you're unwilling to admit you're powerless over is going to destroy everything that you do good.
Yep.
And we hope that this information can bring the bottom to you instead of you going to the depths maybe we have to get to the place where you have to tear everything down, lose everything you've ever loved to get to this place. You don't have to do that.
Right. Yeah.
This understanding, if you can find some humility and acknowledge and admit this is you, could bring you to a place to stop in time.
Yes.
Man, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I'm preaching real good right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the deal, and so we really, this stuff oozes out of us.
Yeah.
This ain't really a duty, bro. We love doing this.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I wanted to add this too, man, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are still living in the problem, which we did for a long time.
Yeah.
But part of what we didn't touch on was when the book says that I suffer from an unwhole mind, where there's these strange mental blank spots that have been created through years of burning my mind. We teach it as if you just imagine your mind as a pizza, and there's one slice missing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm living my life as a piece of pizza, but there's always one slice missing. And I teach it like this. Imagine if you've ever played the game Twister, you spin the dial, and whatever it lands on, that's where you move to. So just imagine every morning, if you're living in the problem, you're not growing, you're not in the solution, you have
and you're
no,
real alcoholic, and you're real drug addict.
Yeah, and you have no power to change. You're waking up and you're spinning that dial, and 7 out of 8 days, it lands on a whole part of my mind where I can see the truth. Today, I need to wake up. I need to go to work. I need to not go smoke crack. I need to not stop by the liquor store. I need to at least wait till I get off work. And I somehow manage to maybe sometimes do that. But the unwhole mind suggests to me that even in sobriety, even in not drinking and not using, that if I am not growing in my understanding and effectiveness of who God has created us to be and how he wants me to carry this message to other people, I am reverting back to step one. That unwhole mind is being created again.
Yeah.
That slice of pizza is being removed again.
Yeah.
And I'm still spinning that every day, hoping it doesn't land on that unwhole mind. Because you know what happens, man, even in sobriety, we rest on our laurels and we stop doing the things that get us well. And I'm saying this, I guess, inspired to say it to people that are in recovery, but those that aren't in recovery too, that's how the enemy uses resentments in our life and uses fear in our life. And in that moment, it lands on that. He says something sideways to me. I can't believe my wife. I can't believe my kids. I feel some type of way. Well, what have I always used to take care of that feel some type of way?
2 drinks.
2 drinks, bro. I'm good, right?
Yeah.
Well, because I have an unwhole mind, I can't see the truth in those 2 drinks.
That's right.
What about like just smoking a 20?
I mean,
Right, yeah,
20
yeah.
twins.
That's-
Or like
Well,
a 40, or like you mean like a 40?
Yes.
Well, like, I mean,
or like a 60.
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I can maybe understand how I can convince myself to just drink 2.
Yeah.
But has anybody ever just smoked a 20 that's like us?
No, it's
Yeah, about 8 of them. And
I'm just gonna smoke this 20
Yeah.
off this can,
Yeah.
and I'm
Go
not.
back to work.
I'm going back to work,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not happening.
Well, and I wanted to add this too, that we've tried every imaginable remedy.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
don't sit here and think that we haven't tried all the other ways before somebody carried the message.
Yeah.
Let me give you a few ways I've tried. Marijuana maintenance program,
Mm-hmm.
Suboxone treatment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only going to drink at nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only going to smoke weed when I get home and my wife goes to bed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only going to do this when my kids are finally tucked in after I've brushed their teeth and put them to bed.
Right.
I've tried all of the imaginable remedies before the message was carried to me, fortunately, and I know that's not the case for everybody. But in those remedies, they didn't solve the problem. They only gave me that sense of ease and comfort that came, but left me waking up the next day, still suffering from the allergy, still craving more, and still trying to figure out why this still was not enough. And it always led me back to what I wanted the most, which was opiates.
Yeah, for sure.
Fentanyl, drink. And so, man, like we suffer from some, like the two things we're talking about today, you can't see.
Right.
You can't see the mental obsession. You can't see the allergy of the body. But you said it so good, man. These are symptoms of a greater problem that we're going to start tackling as we do these episodes. So if you feel like a piece of the pizza's missing, and you feel like when you start you can't stop, you might
be suffering from an illness which only a spiritual experience will conquer.
Yeah.
And here's the even greater understanding of what CJ just said. Imagine if you don't want to think of it as a pizza, imagine as a pistol.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
put
Roulette.
one bullet and you play Russian roulette with, because here's what I know about the allergy. The Bible, the big book says to drink is to die.
Yeah.
And so if this great obsession returns through resentment being blocked from God, and I drink, and then the allergy assures me death, every day that I'm walking outside of recovery, I'm playing Russian roulette with my illness.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if my illness ever outstretches my recovery, and the obsession returns and I drink again, the truth is there may not be another recovery.
Right.
Nope.
Everybody thinks, man, I'm young. That's a lie. That's the greatest lie you believe.
Yeah.
You need to know that the day of salvation is today.
Yep.
Like, you need to get off today because there may not be another day, because you're suffering from an illness that is beyond you. You are not strong enough to think that your thinking, your ego says you got, like, bro, who are you?
Yeah.
I got plenty of time. You don't even know if you got tonight, tomorrow.
Right.
You ain't promised that.
That's right.
You're not that huge. You're not God.
Yeah.
And so I'm suggesting that if we could ever find a level of humility to receive this, God, Lord, I just pray right now that you would give the listener the heart to receive this truth,
Yes.
man.
Yeah.
Because it is truth that is spiritual in essence, and only you can give ears to hear. So, Lord, would you this season give somebody that's been struggling in and out of rehab, play in church, whatever the case may be, would you give them finally the soil to hear, to receive the word, Lord, so it can produce something that is spiritual that comes from you.
Yeah.
Recovery isn't self-help. This ain't a self-help program. It's a God-driven program.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, Lord, just this season, rescue
Yeah.
the addict,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the alcoholic that's hopeless. And get this to them, Lord. I don't know how you're going to do it, but take these airwaves to them, Lord, and let them be on this thing next year telling them how this message saved their life just like it did us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing, man, is that the big book calls it a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And I think as long as you think that you can fight the body and the mind, that it is hopeless. When it turns into a seemingly hopeless state, when you realize that there is no way out
Yeah, for sure.
apart from God, and you begin to seek the spiritual solution.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're burning up energy trying to rearrange life to suit this allergy and mental obsession,
Yeah, good luck.
I know you're exhausted.
Yeah.
And you might look good on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You might look like you have it all together. Can I tell you that we know that you don't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can I tell you that we didn't at one time, and that we want you to know it's okay to not be okay?
Yeah.
It's okay to finally in your life take off the mask, pull off the makeup, show the wounds, and ask for help.
Yeah.
Like, start the journey in 2025.
Yeah.
Don't wait until 2030, 2035 and live in regret of, I wish I would have done something with that. Like, make some changes now.
Yeah.
Right? And I promise you, if you will make the effort, half the effort you went at getting drugs and alcohol towards this program,
My favorite
I
one.
believe you will never drink again.
That's right.
I mean, Dr. Bob said
That's
it,
what
and
he
he
said.
didn't.
Yep.
I mean, you know how many times I've read that last
I love that
paragraph of
paragraph.
his story after speaking at an AA meeting?
Yeah, me too.
For years, because he was a boss. Go back and
Yeah.
read that. He didn't play.
No.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't. I mean, y'all talking about, man, those guys, they just cut to the check. Look who we got it from.
Yeah.
Right.
These cats that, when they were doing this deal, was 95%
That's
success
right.
rate.
That's right.
And so I'm trying to follow them because
right.
they were doing something right.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right.
So 2025, man.
Here we are.
It's time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
to pick up your mat
Yeah.
and to walk. Get with a community of people at tables where you're not the smartest one.
Yeah.
And let people help you accomplish things that you've never accomplished.
Yeah.
The 12 and 12 says it like this: no man likes to admit complete and utter defeat.
I just read that yesterday.
I mean, like, you got to give up to get in.
That's right.
Well,
you know?
you can't set a captive free that don't think they're a captive.
Yeah.
And so this knowledge is now creating there being no ignorance in your life
Yes.
concerning alcoholism.
Yes. Mhm.
If you've sat under the sound of our voice and you have heard this message, you got no more excuse.
Nope.
Ignorance is no longer your problem.
Yep.
You're now responsible for this information concerning your life.
You may not want to keep going. This will ruin your drinking.
Oh
and
yeah, you
driving.
might. Yeah,
yeah.
dude, you might. You might want to stop. So, in the understanding of the problem defines the solution.
Yeah.
Concerning alcoholism, powerlessness is the problem,
Yeah.
and we get that through the understanding of the allergy of the body and the mental obsession.
Yeah.
Control and choice.
So, if we plug this into our little calculator here, if the problem is lack of power,
Yeah.
then what do we need?
We need some power.
Yeah.
Till
baby.
next time.
Peace.
Cheers.